Hey everyone, it's Will, GamerDad, with another video for you. So this one is a tough one. In this video, we're going to take on stage 4 of the EX version of the Trial of the Burning Rage. And I will tell you, I spent the better part of today actually fighting this one. The first 3 stages took me a little bit of time, but this one was a doozy. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So, we start off with a large turn 1 AF, even outside zone. And if you watch carefully, I actually move the cursor and target each of the 4 enemies in order from left to right. The 2 ogres actually have less HP than the 2 Caligo fish. And so the first 2 rounds of AF were enough to defeat each of them to half HP stopper, and then followed by the 3rd and 4th. And at the very end of AF, I did cast my 2 shields, Cat Deity Guardian as well as Guardian Soul. After this, it's all a matter of using a fully stacked Rhoda Espida, which is a 5 stacks on AS Hismina, to bring down each ogre to its 1/4 or 25% HP stopper, and then finally to finish it off. Keep in mind that this does have a 20 turn limit, and so I counted about 17 turns total for this fight. I played around with a lot of different team comps, and actually my oldest son, aka Jeff Morrison, and I worked on this one in order to have this one done. So we kind of used a hybrid of both of our ideas. I'll link his channel below. He does upload another Eden videos, although much less frequently than myself. Anyways, back to the action. So now that we have re-established water zone, because remember, in turn 1 we had no water zone, and we are using our tried and true AS Annabelle to keep on using the water zone, and we still have the daylight breaks here, which is a preemptive move. It's not there to do a lot of damage. She is still kind of our pain setter, although she is actually doing some other things as well. She has a lot of support. She does have to cast shields and so on and so forth. And I had modified her Grasta to help her survive a little bit better too. So yeah, this one, the reason why this one's so hard is, in my opinion, the problem is that when you are doing a lot of these with multiple waves, you can get expertise in the first 2 or 3 waves as you work through it. However, you really have very little experience on wave 4 and 5, and a lot of times you can't tell exactly what you need to survive, what will kill you, and so on and so forth. And I will say the 4th and 5th specifically were difficult to overcome, and I'll show you a little bit later in this video why. Alright, so 5 turns done, we have a full AF bar, and we are on turn 6 and wave 2. Keep in mind that since there's 5 waves, we're really aiming for about 4 turns or less for each wave, and each of these waves are quite deadly in its own right. Again, the Salamander is from an earlier wave. It does have an HP stopper as well, and now it has 2 minions, or these kind of gem things, and they will do AoE fire attacks as well as reduce your fire resistance with a debuff. So you really want to bar here if you can. I tried other ways where I re-established zone first, however it ended up eating up more turns, and so I felt that by using a large bar here, you can get to its first HP stopper. So it has a bar, HP bar for its standing up position, and it has an HP bar for the lying down position. The lying down position is basically where it has a half HP stopper. In the case of the up, like the standing up one, you can blow through that without an HP stopper, no worries about it. Again, the strategy is to make sure we have our shields up from time to time. This stage isn't as deadly, especially if you got rid of the minions with the AF. It's more like making sure you have enough DPS for the next stages. And the reason why I am using AS Hismina as well as Nakoko instead of using AS Foreign. Now, in this case, we are still using AS Sheila as our debuffer. She also carries Grasta for Hismina. Hismina has that burst single shot DPS, and when you stack 5 stacks of the Trishula, you really can do a ton of damage when you got the Rosa Espida. And in terms of the Coco, the Cat Deity clear as well as Cat Deity, I guess the Cat Deity is the one that gives you AF combo, and then there's a Cat Slap, which gives you healing. And so you really need a healer, especially in the first few phases where, remember that those HP stoppers hit for the ogres, they do it kind of their own AF finisher, and without mid-turn healing, You will die either to some of their status effects, which they can apply pain randomly. It is RNG, and I do have Moon Realm gear, which resists statuses. However, it's not 100% guaranteed, so that was another frustrating part of this fight. Anyways, Nokoko also has the Cat Lady Guardian, and you need that dual shield, which is the 35 type, 35 physical, in the later phases. I was able to get to this area quite easily in multiple tries. It's just that after the wave 4 and 5 were challenging to say the least. Alright, so with Ogre Rancorum on the left, keep in mind that if you AF'd before you entered this wave, he'll take away your AF bar permanently. And I think that was a gimmick from an earlier wave. The other thing too is that once you get to his HP stopper, which is 50%, you can use AF without any worries, because once you kill him, he can't steal your bar anymore. So the whole point is bring him down to the HP stopper nice and early with a single shot from AS Hismina, and then bar here. Now, Ogre Baron does have 2 HP stoppers. However, it doesn't have a lot of HP, and so a 5 stacked Trishula with the appropriate Graster and Sharing should bring each of those HP stoppers down. So we're not really here to, well, I can't blow through this entire bar with 2 hits like some other people's teams. It's more like using really the one main DPS and the others as support. Not only that, I still do need a bar, and so I don't mind making multiple hits. Nokoko, of course, being the Elemental Master, she changes her moves to whatever zone's in effect. And when she's in any zone, her heal becomes 3000. She also increases crit damage by 50% and other things like that. So that really works. Oh, she also sets crit rate at 100%. So if you don't have a crit rate setter, or you don't have those void weapons or even the new prismatic weapons, Nokoko is your lady or cat girl in order to do the job. Okay, so this is wave 4, Suzaku in human form, followed by Suzaku in large form. And so again, we want a fully stacked Trishula so we can use the Rosa Espina and drop a huge DPS bomb with AS Hismina. Now, I did try normal style Hismina, just didn't have enough to push past HP stoppers, and so I abandoned that nice and early in this strategy. Not to mention, I have been using AS Hismina for the vast majority of the day, beating all the other 3 stages. Alright, so you can clearly see that we got to the HP stopper. Now, the beast version of Suzaku has more HP, I think, than the human version. I didn't calculate exactly, but it didn't feel like it was as easy to blow through DPS-wise. And of course, remember that you really need your AS Annabelle to be the fastest if possible. Now, remember that during AF, she does stack up to 3 stacks of power and speed, and that allows her to act first in most cases outside AF, as long as those stacks don't fade. You have 3 turns to kind of either re-establish large AF and stack those again, or you face her being a little bit slower, in which case your other units will act first. Remember that AS Hismina also stacks her own speed, and that's a big problem as well. So if you're wondering how you kind of stack those things, it really is important how units act first, because you want to kind of time it so that certain things come into synergy with others, and if you have your zone setter out first, then your other water moves do boost your AF bar by 7.5% as opposed to very little inside fire zone, for example. Now, I will say this part is all RNG. So note that he knocks 3 people back, which doesn't kill him, and he does an all but 1 HP attack on your team. And so if that person who got, I guess, left at 1 HP gets hit twice by that hit, then you will die. Note that with Cat Daddy Guardian and Guardian Soul and Power Down, Int Down, so on and so forth, we were able to resist even at low HP. Sheila was able to tank 1 single hit. So there was some RNG, but she was actually still able to survive. Okay, one other note I will say about using AS Hismina that I really found useful. I did find once you get to 5 stacks of Trishula, you can either play with Rosa Espinas down to 3 stacks, or you can alternate between 4 and 5 depending on how much power you want to use and save up that large DPS bomb for certain HP stoppers. Alright, so this wave was the one that gave me the most trouble. If you don't have multiple shields, int, and power debuffs, you will die right here now. The reason why is it first of all establishes Fire Zone right off the bat. Even if you activate a large AF, it has an HP stopper, and at the 50% HP stopper, it will counter with re-establishing Fire Zone and doing a fire type AoE attack, and you cannot ignore it. You cannot avoid it, and so you really need a heavy shield and multiple debuffs. When I did not have Nokoko and I was using AS4, I got hit for 6k regularly, even with shields and debuffs. Note that the fire is basically in the background burning you, and note that with multiple shields, I only took something in the 2500-3000 range. I also do have Guardian Soul, which increases max HP for your whole team, and we still had enough stacks to do one more blast of Rosa Espina, and we were able to finish this one. So again, 70 turns, super difficult, spent way too many hours on this, and I did need the help of my eldest son, who was also playing around with this stage, and he hasn't beaten it yet only because he has not side graded his AS Annabelle. Otherwise, I'm sure he could do this particular battle in this way. Alright, so water on fire, and water doused that fire. Finally, holy smokes. Alright, so you do get gold badge, some chronostones. Now check out the grass stat. It is different than normal. We are really prioritizing a combination of pain as well as more, I guess, consistent damage. So note that we use the power of rapids, which is just an elemental boost. And Sheila is just carrying Grasta completely for AS Hismina. Nokoko has a little bit of pain setting and MP consumption because it's a long battle, 17 turns like I said. And AS Annabelle also has MP rejection as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.